It was raining hard that morning. Michael, a single dad working 2 jobs, saw a pregnant woman collapsed on the roadside. He rushed to help, not knowing that stopping for 5 minutes would cost him his only job and his daughter's school tuition. When he finally reached the office, drenched and breathless, his boss fired him for being late. But fate wasn't done. The woman he helped walked in the next day, dry hair, sharp suit, radiant presence, and everyone stood up when she entered. She wasn't just a client. She was the owner of the company. The alarm clock screamed at 5:47 a.m., 13 minutes before it was supposed to. Michael's hand shot out from under the thin comforter, slapping the snooze button with the precision of someone who'd done this exact motion for 3 years straight. He didn't go back to sleep. He never did. The apartment was cold. The radiator had been making that grinding noise again. The one the landlord kept saying he'd fix. Michael pulled on yesterday's work shirt, still wrinkled, but clean enough, and walked quietly past Emma's room. Her door was decorated with crayon drawings of butterflies and stick figure families, always 3 people. Her, him, and a woman she called Mama in heaven. In the kitchen, Michael made 2 sandwiches. 1 peanut butter for Emma's lunch. 1 turkey and mustard for himself, wrapped in the same plastic bag he'd been reusing all week. The coffee maker gurgled, filling the small space with the only luxury he allowed himself. His phone buzzed. A text from Janet, his evening delivery coordinator. "Can you take the 7 to 9 shift tonight?" Danny called out. Michael's jaw tightened. That would mean getting home after Emma was asleep. Again, but the extra $40 would cover her library book fare next week. "I'll take it," he typed back. At 6:30, Emma shuffled into the kitchen, her blonde hair sticking up in every direction, clutching the stuffed rabbit she'd had since she was 2. She was 7 now, but the rabbit Mr. Hopscotch still went everywhere. "Morning sunshine," Michael said, crouching down to her level. "Sleep okay?" Emma nodded, rubbing her eyes. "Can we have pancakes? How about Saturday?" "I promise. The really good ones with the chocolate chips. The ones shaped like Mickey Mouse?" "You got it." Michael helped her into her school uniform, the navy jumper, with the white collar that he'd ironed last night while she slept. She looked so small in it, so much younger than 7. Or maybe he just wished she could stay small forever, before the world got complicated. "Daddy, why do you always leave before it's light outside?" The question hit him harder than it should have. Michael tied her shoes, taking his time with the double knot. "Because I have an important job, kiddo. And important jobs start early. Is it more important than me?" He looked up at her then, at those wide green eyes that looked so much like Sarah's. "Nothing is more important than you. Nothing in the whole world. I go to work early so I can give you everything you need. I just need you, Daddy." Michael pulled her into a hug, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. "I know, baby. I know." By 7:15, he'd dropped Emma at before-school care, watching through the chain-link fence as she ran to join her friend Madison by the swings. She turned back once, waving with her whole arm, and Michael waved back until she disappeared into the building. Then he ran for the bus. The rain started at 7:43 a.m. Exactly as Michael's bus pulled away from the curb without him. He'd been stuck behind a group of tourists studying a map, and by the time he pushed through, the doors were closing. "Wait!" He slammed his palm against the glass, but the driver didn't even look back. Michael checked his phone. If he walked fast, he could make it to Morrison Logistics by 8:15. He'd be 15 minutes late, but Derek Grant, his supervisor, might let it slide. Might. The rain intensified, fat drops that soaked through his jacket in seconds. Michael broke into a jog, his worn sneakers splashing through puddles, his messenger bag slapping against his hip. Then he saw her. She was on the ground near the entrance to Valley Park. One hand pressed against the brick wall, the other cradling her swollen belly. Her face was pale, twisted in pain, and she was trying to stand, but her legs kept giving out. Michael slowed, then stopped. His phone read 7:51 a.m. The woman gasped. her body folding forward. She was maybe in her mid-30s, wearing a gray business coat that was now soaked through. Her car, a sleek black sedan, sat 20 feet away with the driver's door open, keys still in the ignition. Michael looked at his phone again. 7:52. "Ma'am?" He jogged over, kneeling beside her. "Ma'am? Are you okay?" She looked up at him with unfocused eyes. I felt dizzy. I pulled over, and then..." Her breath hitched. "Something's wrong. I'm 28 weeks. Something's wrong." Michael's heart hammered. 28 weeks. Emma had been born at 30 weeks. Small, but fighting. He remembered every second of those first terrifying days in the NICU. "Okay, listen to me. We're going to get you help. Right now." He pulled out his phone and dialed 911, but the call wouldn't connect. One bar of signal, flickering in and out. The woman's hand gripped his arm. "Please don't leave me." 7:54 a.m. Michael looked down the street. He could see a taxi idling at the corner, its light on. He made a decision. "I'm not leaving you. Come on, we're going to stand up together, slow and easy." He helped her to her feet, supporting most of her weight. She was shaking, her breath coming in short bursts. They made it to the taxi in what felt like an hour but was probably 90 seconds. "Valley General Hospital," Michael told the driver. "Emergency entrance." Fast, but careful. He climbed in beside her, keeping his hand on her shoulder. She was crying softly now, one hand on her belly. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." Michael glanced at his phone one more time before turning it face down on his lap. 8:02 a.m. He was late. Michael burst through the warehouse doors at 8:34 a.m. His clothes plastered to his body, his hair dripping water onto the concrete floor. The morning shift was already in full motion. Forklifts beeping, pallets sliding, the steady hum of productivity that didn't wait for anyone. Derek Grant was standing near the loading dock with his clipboard, his face already red. "Barrett." His voice cut through the noise like a whip crack. Every head in the warehouse turned. Michael felt 30 pairs of eyes lock onto him. "My office." Now, Derek's office was a glass box overlooking the floor designed, Michael always thought, specifically so everyone could watch you get fired. Derek didn't sit down. He just stood there, arms crossed, jaw working like he was chewing nails. "Do you know what time it is? I know I'm late. I'm sorry. There was an emergency." "There's always an emergency with you, Barrett. Always an excuse. My daughter was sick. The bus broke down. Traffic was bad. Do you think I'm running a charity here?" "No, sir." But this was different. There was a woman, she was pregnant, and collapsed. "I had to. You had to be here at 8 o'clock. That's what you had to do. That's what you agreed to when you took this job." Michael's hands clenched at his sides. "She could have lost her baby, and you just lost your job." The words landed like a punch. Michael stared at Derek, waiting for him to crack a smile, to say he was kidding. But Derek just turned to his desk and started writing. "You're done. Turn in your badge and time card at HR. You'll be mailed your final check. Derek, please. I've worked here for 3 years. I've never missed a day. I take every overtime shift you offer. You were late 6 times this quarter. 6. I gave you warnings. I gave you chances." Derek finally looked up, and there was something almost satisfied in his expression. Some people just aren't cut out for this kind of work. Maybe you need something with more flexible hours. Have you thought about food service? The insult was deliberate. Michael felt heat crawl up his neck, felt every eye outside the glass watching him crumble. "I have a daughter," Michael said quietly. "Then you should have thought about her before you decided to play hero." Michael turned and walked out of the office, his vision blurred, his chest tight. He didn't look at anyone as he crossed the warehouse floor. He heard whispers, saw people look away. By the time he reached HR, his hands were shaking. Linda in HR was kind, at least. She processed his termination without eye contact, handed him an envelope with his final hours, and said she was sorry. Michael walked out into the rain at 9:07 a.m. He didn't have a job. He didn't have a backup plan. He had Emma, and now he had nothing to give her. Michael didn't go home right away. He couldn't. The thought of walking into that apartment, of looking at Emma's drawings on the refrigerator, of seeing the envelope marked Tuition December tucked behind the bread box, it was too much. Instead, he walked. He walked through downtown, past the coffee shop where he'd taken Emma for hot chocolate last Christmas, past the library where they went every Thursday for story time, past the elementary school playground where he'd pushed her on the swings until his arms ached, her laughter the only sound that mattered. The rain had stopped, but everything was wet, reflecting gray sky and gray buildings in endless repetition. At 2:30 p.m., Michael finally made himself walk to Emma's school. He stood across the street, watching the doors, waiting. When she emerged at 3:15 with her class, her backpack nearly as big as she was, his throat closed up. She saw him and her whole face lit up. She ran across the playground, Mr. Hopscotch bouncing in her grip. "Daddy, you're here." She crashed into his legs, hugging him tight. "You never pick me up." "I know, sunshine. I thought maybe we could walk home together today. Would you like that?" "Yes." She grabbed his hand, swinging their arms. "Can we go to the park?" "Not today. Let's just go home." They walked slowly, Emma chattering about her day, about how Jackson had spilled paint on his shirt, about how Mrs. Henderson read them a story about a dragon, about how she got a sticker for finishing her math worksheet first. Michael made the right sounds, asked the right questions, but inside he was calculating. The final check would be maybe $1,200. Rent was $950. That left $250 for everything else: food, utilities, Emma's after-school care. Her tuition payment was due in 3 weeks. "Daddy, are you sad?" Michael looked down. Emma had stopped walking and was staring up at him with those two knowing eyes. "No, baby, just tired." "You're always tired." She squeezed his hand. "I wish you didn't have to work so much." "Me too, sunshine." That night, after Emma was asleep, Michael sat at the kitchen table with his laptop, applying for jobs. Warehouse associate, delivery driver, retail clerk, anything, everything. He filled out applications until his eyes burned, until the clock showed 2:17 a.m. and his coffee had gone cold. 27 applications sent. 0 responses. He made himself a promise right there. Emma would never know how scared he was. She would never see him break. Whatever it took, he would keep her world safe, even if his own was falling apart. Michael pulled out a piece of paper and started writing a budget, scratching out numbers, trying to make the math work. It didn't. No matter how he calculated it, they would be short by February. He put his head in his hands and finally let himself cry quietly, so Emma wouldn't hear. 3 days later, Michael still hadn't told Emma about losing his job. She thought he was on temporary schedule change. He left every morning at the normal time, spent 8 hours at the library applying for jobs, and came home acting like everything was fine. It was a Wednesday morning when he remembered he'd left his union card in his locker at Morrison Logistics. He needed it to apply for a position at a distribution center across town. He took the bus to the warehouse, arriving just after 8 a.m. The place looked exactly the same, like he'd never existed at all. Someone else was probably already working his station, taking his shifts, living his life. Michael walked past the loading docks toward the administrative offices. He'd grab his card and leave, in and out. But when he pushed through the double doors into the main hallway, he walked into chaos. The conference room doors were open, and the entire front lobby was filled with people in suits. The receptionist, Karen, was practically standing at attention. Even Derek Grant was there, his posture rigid, his expression nervous. "What's going on?" Michael asked Karen quietly. She barely glanced at him. "Board meeting. The new CEO is here. First time since the acquisition." Michael nodded slowly. Morrison Logistics had been bought out by Hartwell Industries 6 months ago. But nothing had really changed. Same building, same management, same people. The new ownership was supposed to be better, more employee-focused, better benefits, but it all sounded like corporate talk. "I just need to grab something from my old locker," Michael said. "Make it quick. They're about to start the tour." Michael headed down the hallway. But before he could reach the locker room, he heard voices behind him. Multiple sets of footsteps, purposeful and quick, and this wing houses our administrative staff. Along with the locker facilities for floor workers, Michael stepped aside to let them pass. A group of executives in expensive suits, moving like a single organism, and at the center, leading them, was a woman. She was in her mid-30s, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Michael's rent. Her dark hair was pulled back in a sleek bun. She walked with absolute confidence, her heels clicking against the tile floor with mathematical precision. Michael barely glanced at her face before stepping further aside, giving them room. But then she stopped, just stopped, mid-stride, mid-sentence. The entire group halted behind her, confused. Someone asked if everything was all right. The woman was staring at Michael. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, were locked on his face. Her expression shifted from confusion to recognition to something Michael couldn't quite read. "You," she said. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact, delivered in a voice that suggested she was used to being right about everything. Michael frowned. "I'm sorry." "Do I?" And then he saw it. The slight curve of her belly beneath the tailored suit. The way her hand moved instinctively to rest on it. Valley Park, the rain, the taxi. "Oh my God," Michael breathed. Olivia Hartwell stood in the hallway of Morrison Logistics, surrounded by 6 executives and 2 board members, and couldn't move. The man in front of her rumpled shirt, exhausted eyes, hands shoved in his pockets, was the stranger who'd saved her life. "Mr. Chen," she said to her COO without taking her eyes off Michael. "Please give us the room." "Ma'am, the tour schedule." "Now." The group dispersed, confusion rippling through them. But they knew better than to argue. Within 30 seconds, the hallway was empty, except for Olivia and Michael. "You're the woman," Michael said. "From the park." "I am." Olivia took a step closer, studying his face. "And you're the man who made sure I didn't lose my daughter." "Daughter?" Olivia's hand moved to her belly again, a gesture Michael now recognized as protective rather than casual. "They did an ultrasound at the hospital. I was having severe dehydration and stress-induced contractions. If I'd been alone for even 10 more minutes..." Her voice caught. "The doctors said you saved both of us." Michael shook his head. "I just got you to a hospital. Anyone would have, but no one else did." Olivia's voice was firm now, controlled. "I've been trying to find you for 3 days. I checked with the hospital, the police, even the taxi company. You didn't leave a name, didn't leave a number, just disappeared. I had to get to work." Something flickered across Olivia's face. "Did you make it?" Michael laughed, a hollow sound. "Yeah. I made it." "Then why are you here now? You don't work floor hours." "I don't work here at all anymore." The words hung in the air between them. Olivia's expression shifted, sharpening. "Explain." "I was late that day. 34 minutes late. My supervisor fired me." Olivia's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Who?" "It doesn't matter. It was my fault. I knew the rules." "The supervisor's name." Michael hesitated. There was something in Olivia's voice, a tone that suggested this wasn't a request. "Derek Grant." "But really, it's fine. I should have." "Wait here." Olivia pulled out her phone, scrolling quickly. "What's your full name?" "Michael Barrett." She typed it in, her expression unreadable. Michael watched her scan whatever came up on her screen. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "You worked here for 3 years. Perfect attendance until 6 months ago. Took every overtime shift offered. High marks from floor supervisors." She looked up. What happened 6 months ago? Michael swallowed. My daughter had pneumonia. I had to take her to appointments. Olivia's eyes softened for just a moment, then hardened again. And you were fired for being late once? 6 times in 3 months. Because of medical appointments for your child. Yes. Olivia slipped her phone back into her pocket. Mr. Barrett, would you please come with me? Derek Grant was in his glass office, eating a protein bar and reviewing shipping manifests when his door opened without a knock. He looked up, ready to chew out whoever had the audacity. Olivia Hartwell walked in, followed by Michael Barrett. Derek nearly choked. He shot to his feet, his chair rolling backward. Miss Hartwell, I didn't know we weren't scheduled. Sit down, Mr. Grant. Her voice was ice. Derek Saturday. Olivia remained standing, and Michael stood beside her, looking uncomfortable and confused. Through the glass walls, warehouse workers were starting to notice. Heads turning, work slowing. Tell me about Michael Barrett, Olivia said. Derek's eyes darted between them. Barrett? He was terminated last Friday for attendance issues. Multiple violations of company policy regarding he was fired for being late to help a pregnant woman who was having a medical emergency. Derek's mouth opened, closed. I wasn't aware of the circumstances. He mentioned an emergency. But employees often what, Mr. Grant? Often tell the truth. Olivia's voice could have frozen fire. Michael Barrett was late because he stopped to help me. The CEO of this company, the woman who signs your paychecks. He put his job at risk to potentially save my daughter's life. And you fired him for it. Derek had gone from red to white. I didn't know. He didn't say it was, how could I have known? You could have listened. Olivia leaned forward, placing both palms on Derek's desk. You could have shown a baseline level of human decency. Instead, you humiliated a good employee in front of his colleagues and sent him home without income to support his child. Miss Hartwell, I was simply enforcing company policy that I'm now rewriting. Olivia straightened. Effective immediately, Morrison Logistics will implement a family medical leave program, a dependent care emergency policy, and a review board for all terminations. Additionally, you're being placed on performance review for the next 90 days. If I hear about one more employee being treated with this level of callousness, you'll be looking for a new job. Derek looked like he might be sick. Olivia turned to Michael. Mr. Barrett, I'd like to offer you your job back, with back pay for the days you missed, and a formal apology from Mr. Grant. Michael was shaking his head before she finished. I appreciate it, Miss Hartwell, but I can't. Olivia's eyebrows rose. You can't? I can't come back here and have everyone know I got special treatment because of what happened. I need to work somewhere where people respect me for what I do, not because he stopped. Choosing his words carefully. I need to earn it. For the first time since entering the office, Olivia smiled. It was small. Genuine. Then let me offer you something different, she said. Olivia led Michael to a proper conference room, not Derek's fishbowl office, but an actual private space with comfortable chairs and a window overlooking the parking lot. Before we discuss anything else, Olivia said, sitting down, I want to thank you properly. What you did that morning, stopping, helping me, making sure I got to the hospital, that wasn't nothing. That was everything. Michael shifted in his chair. You already thanked me. And the offer to come back was more than generous. It wasn't generous. It was correcting an injustice. Olivia pulled out a tablet, scrolling through something. I've been reviewing our operations since the acquisition. Morrison Logistics is profitable, but there are inefficiencies in our floor management, and employee retention is below industry standard. We lose good people because middle management is more concerned with metrics than humanity. I'm not sure what this has to do with me. I need someone who understands the floor operations from the ground up. Someone who knows what it's like to actually do the work, not just oversee it from a glass box. Olivia looked at him directly. I want to offer you a position As operations coordinator, you'd work directly with department managers to improve workflow, reduce injuries, and implement the new family leave policies I mentioned. Michael stared at her. You want me to be Derek's boss? No. I want you to be Derek's peer, with the authority to overrule him when necessary. The position comes with a salary of $65,000, full benefits, and a schedule that actually allows you to pick up your daughter from school. The number hit Michael like a physical blow. $65,000. He'd been making $32,000 at the warehouse. This was nearly double. Miss Hartwell, I don't have a college degree. I don't have management experience. I've just been a floor worker for. You have 3 years of exemplary service, an intimate knowledge of our operations, and you've demonstrated better judgment in a crisis than most executives I've met. Olivia set down the tablet. You also have a child who needs you. This position has regular hours. You'd be home for dinner. Michael's throat tightened. Home for dinner. When was the last time he'd been home for dinner? Why are you doing this? He asked quietly. Olivia was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer. 2 years ago, I lost my husband. Car accident. He was on his way home from work. I was pregnant with our first child. I lost that baby at 20 weeks. She paused. When I got pregnant again, every single day has been terrifying. And that morning in the park, when everything went wrong, you were there. You didn't have to be, but you were. I'm sorry, Michael said. About your husband? And your baby. Thank you. Olivia straightened, her professional mask sliding back into place. So, here's my question, Mr. Barrett. Do you want this job? Michael started at Hartwell Morrison Logistics the following Monday. He wore a tie. Emma had helped him pick out at Goodwill Blue with tiny anchors, and carried the same messenger bag he'd had for 5 years, now cleaned and repaired with duct tape on the inside where the strap had frayed. The first week was overwhelming. Learning new software systems, attending management meetings, navigating office politics that were completely foreign to someone who'd spent 3 years moving boxes. But Michael worked harder than he'd ever worked in his life. He spent his lunch breaks on the warehouse floor, talking to the workers he used to stand beside. He asked them what would make their jobs easier, safer, better. He took notes. He listened. When he presented his first report to Olivia floor-level recommendations for operational efficiency, she read it in silence, her expression unreadable. This is good work, she finally said. Implement it. All of it? All of it. You have budget approval for the equipment upgrades and authorization to modify scheduling. Just keep me informed. Over the next month, things changed. New safety equipment. Better lighting. A revised break schedule that actually gave people time to eat. Small things mostly, but they added up. Michael saw the difference in people's faces, heard it in their conversations. Derek Grant avoided him completely, which was fine by Michael. But the biggest change was Emma. For the first time in her memory, Daddy was home for dinner, every night. They ate together at the small kitchen table. And Michael heard about her day in real time, instead of in exhausted fragments before bed. They did homework together. They watched cartoons. On Saturdays, they went to the park. Daddy, Emma said one evening, pushing her peas around her plate. Are you happy now? Michael looked at his daughter, really looked at her. She'd grown 1/2 inch in the last month, he was sure of it. Her hair was in pigtails he'd learned to do from a tutorial. She was wearing the new dress he'd been able to afford, without counting pennies. Yeah, sunshine, he said. I think I am. Good. Emma speared a pea triumphantly. Because you smile more now. Like a real smile. Not the tired smile. Michael reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You know what? I think you're right. That night, after Emma was asleep, Michael's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Olivia. I wanted to let you know that your 3-month review was excellent. Also, there's a company family event next Saturday at Highland Park. Food, games, that sort of thing. You should bring Emma. I think she'd enjoy it. Michael stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Thank you. We'll be there." He set down his phone and walked to Emma's room, watching her sleep with Mr. Hopscotch tucked under her arm. For the first time in 3 years, he wasn't afraid of tomorrow. The company family event was bigger than Michael expected. Highland Park was transformed into a festival, bounce houses, face painting stations, food trucks, a small stage where a band played classic rock covers. Hundreds of employees and their families spread across the grass in the September sunshine. Emma spotted the bounce houses immediately. "Can I go, Daddy?" "Please, go ahead. Stay where I can see you." She took off running. Mr. Hopscotch abandoned in Michael's care for the first time in recent memory. "She's beautiful." Michael turned. Olivia stood beside him, wearing jeans and a simple white blouse, the most casual he'd ever seen her. Her belly was noticeably larger now, the pregnancy impossible to hide. "Thank you," Michael said. "How are you feeling?" "Enormous, tired, terrified." Olivia smiled. "The doctors say everything's progressing normally. 34 weeks now. Almost there." "That's wonderful." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching Emma bounce with wild abandon, her laughter carrying across the park. "I've been thinking," Olivia said, "about that morning. About the choice you made. It wasn't really a choice, not for me. That's what makes it remarkable." Olivia turned to face him. Most people would have kept walking. They would have convinced themselves someone else would help, that they couldn't afford to be late, that it wasn't their responsibility. But you stopped. "I have a daughter," Michael said simply. "I'd want someone to stop for her." Olivia's eyes glistened. "When my daughter is born in about 6 weeks, if everything goes according to plan, I'm going to tell her this story. About the man who helped her mother when no one else would. About how one moment of kindness changed everything. You're giving me too much credit." "I don't think I am." Olivia reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. "This is for you." Michael opened it. Inside was a check for $10,000. "Miss Hartwell, I can't, it's not from me. It's from Hartwell Industries Employee Emergency Fund. I created it last month. It's designed to help employees facing financial hardship due to medical emergencies or family crises." She smiled. "You're the first recipient. Use it for Emma. Her education, her future, whatever she needs." Michael's vision blurred. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll keep being exactly who you are." Olivia squeezed his arm gently. "The world needs more people like you, Michael Barrett." Emma ran up then, breathless and glowing. "Daddy, there's a face painting lady. Can I get a butterfly?" "Absolutely." Michael looked at Olivia. "Would you like to come with us?" Olivia smiled a real, warm, genuine smile. "I'd love to." They walked across the park together, the three of them, toward the sound of music and laughter. Above them, the sky was impossibly blue, and for the first time in longer than he could remember, Michael felt like he could breathe. Sometimes the hardest moments led to the most beautiful destinations. Sometimes stopping was the only way to move forward, and sometimes 5 minutes of kindness could change 2 lives forever.